I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go over here really fast. Okay, you need me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so our topic was air pollution in Beijing, China. So, don't hit play yet, Mollie. Okay, so what's happening in Beijing? So far, China has had little restriction on their air pollution, like overall, and like all pollution, like water pollution, air pollution, like any kind of pollution whatsoever. They've had little restriction on it, and they've paid the price for that as well. If you look at this picture right here, this is just a bridge, and so for say in Louisville, if you're looking at a bridge, but then look at like this is in China, and that's another picture of their pollution. And so northern and eastern China are so polluted that the EPA has deemed this area like very hazardous. So factors: car output pollution, factory like output material, like they just spill it out into the ocean or they pump out way too much pollution. And there's no limit on how much pollution there is right now. If you would hit play, yeah, you can hit that too. And pause. That's all the way.
Try to do the computer. Okay, so just go on.
No, I kind of need it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, I kind of need it.
I don't think it's
Awkward. What? Points deducted from ma'am. Mr. Wampler, if you hit the little minimizer.
He said that doesn't count. Yeah, Laura. Okay.
Who messed things up?
You did.
I did not. I put a video on here because it's a good video.
Move to the side.
Move to the left.
Stop. We're getting it. This is not okay. So can we just...
By this thick layer of toxic air, producing
Nope.
Imagine the air being
Hit the little
so
button.
dirt-free you can smell and taste it. Well, that's the situation in Beijing, which is facing another smoggy day. Air quality was considered hazardous all weekend, and some environmentalists say it is the worst air on record. CNN's Stephen Zhang is in Beijing for us this morning. So, Stephen, what is it like there now?
That is the sky behind him.
As you can probably see or now see behind me, the skyline is barely visible, but the sun has come out, so things are still bad, but a little better than over the weekend. On Saturday, another sunny day, the sun was totally blocked by this thick layer of toxic air, reducing visibility for drivers and choking pedestrians like myself on the streets. Now, the numbers were especially bad on Saturday. We keep talking about PM 2.5, the number that measures these tiny particles in the air that can go straight into your lung or bloodstream, causing the most harm to your health. That number, if it goes above 300, considered hazardous. On Saturday, in some parts of Beijing, that number reached almost 1,000. And so the smog has really wreaked havoc on transportation and people's daily life, with many people rushing to the hospital for respiratory problems and also rushing to stores to buy masks. And this smog has also spread beyond Beijing, North China, to other parts of China. Government officials say more than 30 cities across the country reported air quality index above 300 on Saturday, and this trend is...
Okay, so if you notice, like all the people with masks on, it's because the air quality in there, it's like, okay, so the particles in the air, if it's over 0.3, it is deemed hazardous, and right now it's about 1,000, like over 300. Okay, so 300. So I think it's like out of 1,000 air particles are like 300 polluted air particles out of 1,000 are deemed hazardous, and so right here, all of the air particles are deemed hazardous in Beijing right now. So not good, not good. No, you can hit the little. Yep.
Okay, next slide.
Next slide.
Okay, so like adjusting the factors, Beijing has a really like large population. So when they have people with a lot of cars, that doesn't really help the output that they have. And to do something about that, we could create clean cars, because electric vehicles don't emit any tailpipe pollutants, so that would really help the pollution. And Beijing also produces many goods, and the factories that create those pollute the air really badly also. And the gases, ozone, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and lead come from factories and cars and contribute to the air pollution. So if you could like cut all those down, then it would help the pollution a whole lot.
Okay, so yeah, the solutions would be start using electric cars, and this will like not only prevent like pollution, but like we won't ever run out of oil for our cars. And then to get rid of the old factories, because they create the most pollution, and getting rid of these can save 17,000 lives. And China could also set more like restrictions to how much pollution they can give off.
Okay, some strengths and some weaknesses are it's going to be hard to get everybody electric cars. They're expensive, and it would take a long time because they have a lot of people in Beijing. And then Beijing may not agree to take down some of those factories or to limit any of their pollution coming out of those. And some strengths that we have are electric cars would reduce pollution, and the factories would not cause pollution once they're taken down. So if we like did all of that, then it wouldn't be as bad as it is today.
Okay.
that's it.
Questions? Ezekiel.
Well, like, didn't you have, like, I don't know, a car that runs on the dirt particle?
I mean, not really, considering that most of the smog is actually like gases released from cars already, and so it'd be really hard to recycle output from cars to input. Abel.
Do you have an idea of how the smog is affecting the places around it?
Okay, so let's say, okay, Paula, can you go back to my slide? Okay, so there. So, for instance, there's a little girl. She's outside and she's laying on the roof.
No, I'm saying as, like, the air does not stay in one spot, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like on the people. Okay, so you're asking about around Beijing? Okay, so for other countries. So right now,
It's completely clean, and then they started doing all this pollution, and it came and wiped out the smog.
yeah. So in northern and eastern China, they don't really have any restrictions, but in southern and western China, they do. And so right now, they're kind of like an experiment that China's doing, which is not good, but they are doing it. And so the southern doesn't really have that much pollution, so Beijing does, and it's shifting like all around. So the smog is clearing out a little bit, but it's going to other countries, so it's just getting worse. Ezekiel.
Okay, so, like, you were going to explain the girl laying on the roof.
Yeah, okay, I can keep going with that. So I read this story, and there's this little girl, and she was laying on her roof, and it happened to be nighttime. And usually in America, if we, like, so she lives in apartments on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so she was laying, and like in America, if we lived on the roof, like rooftop gardens, stuff like that. And so if you were laying there, you could see the stars. But this little girl, she's 5, and she's never seen the stars before, or the moon, or any of that kind of stuff. She can barely see the light of the moon, but not very much. And that's just because of all the smog. And they don't really see the sun that often. You can see kind of the light coming off of it, but you can't actually see the sun.
She's never seen the stars.
Never seen the stars, not once.
That's terrible.
Gage.
Have you thought about the pollution it takes to create the energy to charge electric cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now they're working on like clean energy.
I didn't hear that question. That was a good question.
Oh, hey, do you want
That
the?
was a great question.
Where's the microphone at?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Are you
that like you
worried
have
about
to.
the pollution it takes to create the
Do I throw those
energy
to him, or-
charge electric cars? Okay,
Yeah, that's
cool,
good.
that's on you.
Like coal.
It's just like
Alright, so the energy's gotta come from somewhere.
yeah.
It comes from power plants. Does, my voice is loud enough, I'm just.
Alright, go for it, man.
So, power plants probably pollute, most of them. And your question is, are you all thinking about the effects that that might have?
Of creating the energy for electric cars. Okay, so right now, like the world is working on using clean energy, and so they found this type of coal, and my dad told me about this. It's like cleaner to burn and doesn't put out as much pollution as the coal we're using now. It's harder to break down per se, but it's outputting a lot more, or a lot less, I mean. Another question?
Are you worried about the pollution it takes to make a battery for an electric car?
Okay, are you worried about the pollution that takes to make a battery for electric car? Do you want to answer this one?
Well,
Go for it.
so once we get these cars like built, it'll like eliminate the pollutants that we did have before from the cars. So it would,
It cuts it in half,
yeah.
basically. So it's taking half the pollution they have now, cutting it in half, and that's what we would do if we had electric cars.
What this was?
So for say we started with electric cars, and before all this started, if we started with electric cars then, it would be half as much pollution as there is now. Or sometimes even less.
So you all, I'm guessing, have done research, you know the proportions of like industrial contributions to smog and then car-based?
Yeah.
Okay, how's it break down?
Okay, so industrial is like, I'd say about 65%. Because they have a lot of factories there. If you've noticed, like your shoes made in China. Everything's made in China. And a lot of the factories are in Beijing. And like the iPhone, I think, is made in Beijing. And so a bunch of the factories are there. And that's why it's a lot of it. And then cars, they have so many people. Like if you just take a look and look at all these cars, it's packed there, like packed. And so there's a ton of cars. And it takes up like 45%. Or I mean 35%.
Really good presentation skill to have is the ability to make stuff up on the fly. Now, I'm not taking off points for this, but do you actually know the percentages? Do you actually know?
I've read a little bit about it, and they didn't really have a like for sure amount, considering it's kind of hard to measure due to the days. But that's around it.
Okay, I'm just curious. Like I said, I wouldn't take off for that because again, when you're presenting, you've got an economic for what you're talking about. I'm just curious. Okay. Any questions?
I'm dead. Any more questions? Go ahead, Gage.
Do you actually know how much pollution it takes to make a battery?
Are we back to batteries now?
Look at that. Like we can look at
Okay.
Didn't you say 300 something because of the...
No, that was about how much pollution there is in the air. For battery, do you know how much it takes?
Yes. To create a
Okay, go ahead.
battery for an electric car
Uh-huh.
creates more pollution than the average car creates.
See, and that would be a weakness that we have.
Yeah,
That's a weakness, so there you go.
Okay,
So that's a big weakness.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't care,
there we
don't care.
go.
I'm not actually going to do this. Done. And done.
Yeah. Definitely.